Hey there, guys. I wish I could say I was the bearer of any bright-eyed, wonderful, smiley kind of news this evening, but I'm not. Matter of fact, and this is probably my breaking point because you gotta understand, it's like I've explained, I'm extremely strong and independent, and I've had to be, and emotionally, because I've been through so much, it's made me stronger. It has. You know, as Bacon, you said it best, what didn't kill you makes you stronger. I love your jokes, honey. Keep them coming. So I found out this news. It's been 4 or 5 hours ago now. But in the meantime, I've been just trying to be here the best that I can. See, it's ironic that it was not too long ago I shared with you all. I used to breed animals, and I didn't do it for the money. I wasn't your typical breeder. So any of you animal advocate friends of mine or rescue friends that hear this now, yeah, no, I didn't put it all out there because I didn't think it was necessary while I was there doing a job, volunteering my time despite the fact that I'm non-disabled. While I did save many lives that were fixing to be put down. And that wasn't for any of you guys. It was for them. See, I'm not your typical person by far. And see, the reason I say that now is I went through a spell in life that I thought to knock out certain genetic traits, and I wasn't the mad scientist by any means, but like smaller dogs, have a lot of ailments, especially with like hip dysplasia, stuff like that, that can very greatly affect them. And so, especially like in Yorkies, etc. And a lot of these guys, when they're born into this world, a lot of common deaths that I've recognized within my personal experience. Okay, I can't speak for everybody once again. And I didn't do this long. Just long enough to get a taste of it, just enough to suffer losses enough that it impacted me high enough. I never did it again. Because I love animals tremendously. I tell you the stories, the backdrop, because I want you to understand who Black Bunny, aka my critter bug, or our duder butt, was, as I tell you the story, especially because I'm making it extra special, especially for you, Bacon, because I know you'll hear this later, and I know that you, of all people, will get it. But, see, Bunny's kind of very special to me. So I did go through that phase, as we'll call it, to help knock out some bad character traits. Not for the money. I got 150 per puppy, which is nothing in comparison to my cost of food or vaccinations, or I even made mine special books. It was the love factor for me. It wasn't, and anybody that knew me, that met me, one I remained friends with for the longest time. And I'd even take him back for play dates. It was a love thing for me. But I learned my lesson. See, I had 2 litters at the same time. I only had 2 mothers, 2. I wasn't no backyard breeder. So I'm not ashamed of what I did. But all dogs get parvo, and it's highly infectious. Highly contagious. My 2 litters of pups caught parvo. Half lived, half died out of 2 litters. That's all it took for me. I have half of them buried in my yard. Bunny and Feet were survivors. Although it had plummeted, the parvo had reached the brain barrier, and as well as their stomach, multiple times. I'd never seen such a thing. I've only witnessed one other puppy in our life that was special that we obtained from somebody else go through such an experience ever. And it was pretty quick. The virus hit quick. And it's always a 50-50 chance, guys. I don't care if a vet's included on this scenario or not. You can do it at home just as well if you know and have the tools. I don't encourage you to do it alone. I may have some trust issues with doctors, but they still know what the hell they're talking about. I just happen to know some of the right things to do. So half of my litter came out okay. The other half did not. Bunny and Feet were my two survivor boys. This thing hit them 3 rounds. Mind you, I've been at my current residence for almost 10 years. And although my memory may not always serve me tremendously fucking wonderful, Bunny was here, I want to say, 8 years of that time. And he's, by all rights, a designer breed. His mother is a full-blooded Yorkie. His daddy, oh God, brain fart here. I can't remember because I'm so stressed and upset right now. And I will correct myself later if I'm wrong. I'm wanting to say that my Papillon may have been the father of that litter, that particular litter. But I could be all wrong because my memory does fail me. It's either that or my friend. I only went to, aside from that, my friend. I wasn't no big breeder. I've saved dogs from backyard breeders because I don't agree with that. That said, Bunny and Feet were brothers. Little black, beautiful Yorkies. Looked kind of, you could tell they're brothers, but 2 feet much larger in size. He's very fluffy, but he's maybe all 7-8 pounds. Pretty standard Yorkie size. Little black Bunny, aka Critterbug, the one that this story's really all about. He, more like 4 or 5 pounds. See, I knew this was coming. I've been too strong for the past 4 or 5 hours, and, you know, I chose not to look in the box. I knew my ex couldn't handle his loss. But Mystery was his mother, and it's a lady, perhaps, that I ended up having to rehome Mystery to, which wasn't Mystery's fault. It was my female Yorkie was causing problems. I had to rehome her. She found a wonderful home, mind you. I lost contact with the lady. If you hear this message, one of her boys passed today. And it's a tragic story all within its own right, in its own self, because my ex took on more responsibility than he should. He used to be the one that hated and discriminated against people of different color. He was the one that he disliked animals. He'd even get abusive. That makes this story all the more tragic for me, because I was just sharing with you guys the other day how those dogs were not meant or intended for him. I had gifted these 2 boys, which I helped bring into this world. I gifted them to my oldest daughter. Well, she in turn gave them to her father, which I totally disagreed with. But it was all as it was meant to be. They taught him the lesson of love. Bunny was his closest, his best friend. Permeated the core where I couldn't. Bunny gave him unconditional love in return, even when John would yell and get angry at them, and they hated the yelling. They hated it. I'd always offer to bring them to me. Even now, I'm concerned about 2 feet, because he took on the bully breed, the 2 that my daughter had saved from an abandoned house, and they get big, they get feisty, and he gets angry, and he has to leave them alone a lot for work. Well, they ripped Bunny apart because Trixie's in the heat and he didn't get them fixed in time. But this isn't the blame game. I love you all, but that's what I'm dealing with.